Here we are.
Here we are.
No, that wasn't terribly. I wasn't terribly. What do you do when you get criticised?
When I get criticised, I cry for several days.
Me too.
Criticism.
No. I really do cry.
Oh.
Yeah, you're not going to criticise me, are you?
No.
No. But what?
Please.
How do people ought to know how do we deal with? It's a good topic, don't you think? How do we deal with criticism? What do we do?
I put on a brave face. No, basically, what I see is every bit of criticism. You can take it in a couple ways. You can take it. Is the problem with them? Is it something they don't like because the difference between me and them, or is it actually something where they're trying to help me? And I think a lot of criticism, especially when I was younger, someone would give me criticism and my ego would flare up and I'd be like, well, you know.
When you're younger, they really are trying to help you out.
Yeah, and I think a lot of criticism can be, or it's an invitation to be better. And I think when you see criticism, I think the golden rule is if you are upset by it, take a sec.
Yeah.
Breathe it out, think about stuff, maybe the next day, then go, oh, it was actually useful. Because even sometimes now it's hard when something hits you below the belt. And I think certain people are better at giving it than others, criticism that is. We're talking below the belt. Anyway, it is one of those things where you would never get better if you were never criticised. And I think it's like, in fact, I would be an absolute arsehole if no one ever criticised me. And I think it's how you grow. It's they say you learn much more from your mistakes
Do you
than from your
criticise
success.
anybody else?
Oh yeah. If you ask any of my mates, I can be quite brutally honest sometimes.
You've never been brutally honest with me, have you?
No. I haven't got anything bad to say. But sometimes my mates, I'm like, look, come on, I'll say something, and they'll be like, oof, oh. And then like 3 months later, they're like, yeah, you're completely right, and thanks for saying it. But at the time, you know, but you need friends like that. You need, like the other day, I played a DJ set, and I was really freaked out. First, the decks wouldn't work, and everything was going wrong. And I played the whole thing, and the whole time I was creasing. I was like, this is not very good at all. And the mate afterwards goes, you know, wasn't your best, was it? And I was like, oh. And he was completely right though. And he was basically trying to prepare me. It was like, because if you do that set again, it's going to be disappointing, isn't it? And after him and my own feelings, I went, and 3 or 4 days, I was literally just DJing. And it can be the spurt. Or if your parents go, I know my granddad once said to my dad, that music stuff will never get you anywhere, what are you doing? And that was enough fuel to get my dad to work harder and harder and harder.
The music?
Yeah, so I think it can always be seen as either a critique or potential fuel to get better. You know what I mean? It could be advice, or it could be something that fuels you to go out and change.
Right, but if you get it wrong, it can kill that little spark of
I do agree with that.
creativity. And you've got to be really, really careful. As a teacher, you've got to be really careful. You don't you don't create a classroom of crying children, which is even inside. You know, it's.
Because I also think along that line is certain criticisms and can be taken in a more nasty approach and a more snide,
the
especially
idea,
in school.
The word critique.
Yeah.
Today we understand it in a really nasty way.
Mm-hmm.
We understand it as always being negative, but in fact, it should be positive. I remember somebody telling me we shouldn't be talking about criticism. We should be talking about. What was it now? No, it's gone completely.
Advice?
No, what? Not praise. Sort of
Appraisal.
Appraisal, yes,
Yeah.
appraisal. What is good about something? Though that can get we can end up in a strange sort of universe where we're using positive language to describe something negative, and so we're actually destroying both things. You know, because we know what we mean.
Yeah, and I think there can.
And the but is so horrible. Don't you hate buts?
Yeah.
Well, I mean with the.
Oh,
with
you
the
know,
singer.
with the single T. No,
You're
I agree.
Blah 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 blah. But
You know,
and we're just waiting.
I think you're
for
onto a great point.
But
And you know what? Someone once said, everything before the but, is waffle. The but is the only thing that's important. It's what comes after the but.
I hate it so much.
Is that rebuttal of, here's some nice padding, but no. I don't, you know.
Some teachers are taught to do this sort of sandwich. So you say something nice, say something horrible, then say something nice. So you've got a sandwich which.
And done right.
I hate it.
Done
I
right,
hate it.
but done wrong, that just is horrible.
No, why not? if you've got something negative that
Yeah.
needs to be addressed, then you think, how can we turn that into something? What advice can I produce that is going to make that better,
Yeah, and I think also
rather than just destroying somebody?
it's like one of those things where what I do sometimes is when someone's got like a problem or something, it's how do you relate it to the story of growth in someone else? Because if you go, that's crap, or this could be better, it's one of those things. I think if you point out a mistake in life, you should probably give some sort of solution, because otherwise you're just tearing down for the sake of it. And that's why I don't like certain far left, far right groups. They're like, here's the problem, never say a solution. This is the problem. This is the problem with this. This is the problem with this.
I have a problem. I often talk about, I got a problem.
Yeah.
I often talk about the problem is blah blah. I need to erase that language.
Well, you need to just come up with a solution, because
The
otherwise,
solution is,
because that's the problem.
That sounds a bit grand, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
the solution, the final solution. No, okay. But I think it's one of those things where
Look at all those seagulls.
all the happy birds.
Are they happy birds? They're just waiting for the. We're about to have a downpour, aren't we? The sea has turned grey.
Yeah, I mean, and I think no. See, here's my solution is so imagine you're working in a group like these seagulls, and sometimes when you're in a group work, especially when you're a bit younger, you got a project you got to do. Here's an idea, no. Here's an idea, no. Here's an idea, no. You don't get anywhere.
Yes,
and the thing is,
absolutely.
sometimes you need a working solution, and then you can work on it later. But you need to take a step forward, because if we're always saying no and critiquing.
Which bird here do you think was the first one to actually? This one.
Yeah, this bird here. If you look to this closer bird, look at him. He's come up. He's come
I'm going to
close
sit here, and then all the others.
on the log.
If we stand here too long, we're going to be painted with interesting.
Seagull poo. Yeah, I think it's just one of those things.
But history, there are people, archaeologists, who spend their entire life looking at what was left behind in Roman toilets. So you have to be really careful what you leave behind. Literally, the sweet wrappers of today are the history of tomorrow.
Exactly.
There we are. We shouldn't be afraid of leaving seagulls there. I think this one. It's a she, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think
It's a baby.
she's probably
I don't know.
the-
She's 1 or 2. She looks lovely, furry.
Can you tell?
Because that's the baby ones. The white and grey ones, the old ones, and then this sort of weird pattern means they're younger,
Right.
and they slowly shed it.
And this one, she's already losing the occasional feather down there, or maybe that's going the same way as your jeans.
Getting ripped for summer. No, yeah, just on the critique as a sort of summary, it's like I do also think being kind is the best way, because also there's the idea in psychology of positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. There's don't do that, or else you sit on the naughty step, or hey, if you do this, you can have a cookie. And the thing is, they've proven time and time again, positive reinforcement is not even better, it's healthier. It's better, healthier, and incites more of the same.
Trying to lose weight.
Oh yeah, it's just trying to lose weight. But it's one of those things where the kid is like, you can't do this because, or how about you work towards this? Suddenly there's an idea for growth. You're not banned, there's no X's, there's no you can't go in that room because I'm your parent. There's, hey, if you're good, maybe you can do this. And suddenly the kid is like, oh! And then the kid has a purpose, a goal,
Absolutely.
and a reward. And then that activates the reward center and you grow. And so if you've got critique, it's like, I reckon if you really work at this area, you could do incredible things. That's a nice way of saying it. Of saying you're shit, basically. Not saying you're shit. You're saying you need some work.
Identifying your potential.
But instead of saying you need some work, you say, yeah, I think you could do great things.
Who told you when you were younger that you had great potential?
I don't think.
Everybody. Yeah.
No, actually, I don't know. There was
Really?
in academic ways, none. No one ever. They went, you're great in class and you really contribute, but you just chat nonsense the whole time. Why do you never shut up? Or like, why do you never listen? I mean, in my friends and family, they're all like, oh, you're really charming, really lovely. Wasn't back then. I mean, I think I had too many ADs and ADHDs or whatever. I was a kid, never listening, always doing basically, I was doing what I do on Gogglebox, which is chat nonsense. But it was a problem in school because I'd be like, hey, blah, 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 and then we'd laugh or whatever. Or I'd say something out loud, especially in like year 4, I'd shout out funny things. People would laugh and be like, yeah, yeah. At the consequence of my education because I wasn't listening at all. But I think I did have, actually, you know what, year 7, year 8, I had a teacher who was recognised a poem. I started writing a poem when I was meant to be doing a short story.
Yes.
And they came over and were like, really, you can't be doing that now. But that is incredible. In fact, like, if you give that back to me, I will type it up and do the, because I was really dyslexic, he's like, I'll type it up for you and make a manuscript of it. And so he did, and he went, this is actually really incredible. And I still to this day remember this poem I wrote in year 7. Never really written one since.
Really?
It was really good. I could do it now if you want.
Yes, I think you should.
It's about a crow or a raven. The creature stalks, never talks, never weeps, never reaps. It glares such a stare into your soul, his body black as coal. Why does he stare at me? Are there not others to see? What an awful place to be, up there in that lonesome tree. Fire roaring in his eyes as he swoops through the skies. I get a bit lost off that bit. Swoops through the skies. Beak outstretched, he swallows whole. Down his throat goes the tiny vole. I think I've missed a bit. But so
pleased.
if you see this horrible beast after finishing his wholesome feast, look away before you see the monster he can really be. So I've missed the middle bit, but it's the idea that this majestic thing is actually evil. And
Yes, you got it. But also gets fed.
yeah, also gets fed by the tiny vole. And
Sorry for the vole.
yeah, sorry for the tiny vole. And the best bit is I didn't even know what a vole was, but it went in the rhyming couplets. Then I realised they do actually get eaten by crows, and I was like, yes, it all fell into one. But I think that moment really changed. And after that, suddenly that appraisal, I went home for the first time in my life, did extra work, not for a grade. I started writing a little book because everyone went, wow, that's really good. I think you could do something with writing. And I'd done a couple speeches in school that I wrote, never said them, and I really liked it. Suddenly I went home and I wrote 7 chapters of a book. Never did anything with it, but that piece of positive reinforcement from Mr. Herbert, big up Mr. Herbert, was just enough to really change my own opinion on myself. And I went out and wrote more, and I learned a load of new words trying to write this story, and it opened up my eyes. And that was appraisal. I mean, there was also the critique of that's not what we're meant to be doing right now, Woody, but it's brilliant. And that time, but wasn't a slap in the face, it was positive reinforcement. So I think positive reinforcement and critique should go together, but the critique shouldn't be overly critical. It should be a suggestion of
Informative.
yeah, informative and nice. I'm not. There's also those people who are afraid to say anything wrong. You've got to be nice. You've got to be nice. You've got to be nice.
No,
and cotton wool wrapped
There's
almost.
a difference between giving information,
Yeah.
which may be corrective, and sort of encouragement.
Yeah.
So you've got these two things. So there's always a point at which you can say, this is information. You're not praying now. You're guarding the microphone,
Yeah.
aren't you?
Yeah.
We should probably go back in because
Yeah.
we're
It's
in
getting
the
windy
wrong
now.
place
We're
at the
getting
wrong
blown
time.
away now. But no, I
don't-
completely agree.
I don't feel blown away because I'm wearing so many clothes. I'm like a sort of grown-up seagull.
It's just our hair slowly going Boris in the wind.
Really? Oh, Boris! I was going to say Boris.
Yeah.
Gogglebox point. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Boris flew to the meeting where everyone else was discussing green
Yeah.
things. But have you thought he may have been forced to fly because the Queen went by train, and presumably the Queen and Boris couldn't be on the same form of transport.
Maybe. Well, they don't.
On the other hand,
what?
Boris.
Because she'd throw hands. She'd be like, "Oh, get here, Boris! I'll take you out."
There's also the argument that if Mr. Biden flew, then Boris probably felt that he had to fly as well. Parity, equilibristic, he might have said.
I did enjoy the bit where so everyone but Boris had the little meeting beforehand in Boris's own country, and then they're all like this, and then suddenly the French president or prime minister, puts his arm round Biden. Oh, so they're all like, oh, we can't talk, we can't. He puts his arm around him like, hey, buddy, old pal, and it's just one of those funny things.
Boris feels.
They pretending to be real people. You know what I mean? They're all like, oh, hello, fellow human. They're not humans. They're in charge of the country. They're almost like a different species.
They could be. Everybody has potential.
Exactly. With some positive reinforcement.
I remember thinking many years ago that Boris had great potential. There we are.
Are you sure you want to say that on film?
It was many, many, many years ago. And-
30?
30?
50?
It'd be about
70?
1984, 83, something like that.
Okay. Is that before he got fired from his job for lying?
Long before that, we
Oh,
didn't
okay.
even know he had this potential for invention.
That's a way of wording something nicely, and I like that. The potential for,
Boris, you're very creative.
Yeah, I think, exactly. Boris, yeah, very, Are you sure that happened in 1066 in the Battle of Hastings, Boris? You know, this is a history exam. No, I think my dad used to say, never let the truth get in the way of a good story. I
Never
think
let the
someone may have taken it
Absolutely.
slightly too far.
Absolutely.
But then again, I think a lot of media at the moment has. And that's why that's eventually, end goal for Truth Tribe is to try and put some news out there as factually as possible. It's hard, because you always get swayed by personal biases and stuff like that. And again, how do you differ between what's cold hard facts and what's opinions? And I think at the moment, our news media, it's all just it's either too left or too right, or just got political agenda.
Or too afraid.
Yeah.
And what we need to do is to recognise that the audience is intelligent, and the audience, here are some facts. Here are some facts, not the facts. Here are some facts. Now make up your mind. Go and have a look elsewhere. Go and be creative, because you can be. You can be. You have those skills, and you have that. You have the button, and you have the internet, and you have all these resources, and we're just a small part of that broader machine.
And yeah, no, I agree, and that's what I would want to do with Truth, is look, here's our truth we found from researching it. Go research it for yourself. Here's the link. This is where we found this. This is where we found this.
What is the link?
The link would be...
Can we do the link to camera?
The link, there is no link yet.
There is no link
This
yet.
is all
Oh
in
my
the
goodness.
works.
So
This is
you-
all
you
living in the
have to-
ether.
you have to-
You have to wait.
You have to wait, because
Abide.
Woody is going to be producing a link, and it's all going to be
No, link,
tremendous
yeah,
fun.
in years' time. I don't know. This isn't
we're getting
down
ready.
the rabbit hole. Basically, at the moment, it's sort of building a company, building all of this, having these ideas, because you don't want to rush it, and I never want to put out anything that we're not fully respecting and proud on. So it's all waiting. And also, I'm a young person. I'm 20 years old. Is my opinion now going to be the same as in 5 years' time? I think it's
Well, I
all
hope
about.
not.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope it will change. Everything has to change. This is
it's about growth.
well, it's and you go back to the ancient Greeks, Heraclitus, or Pocahontas, which is so much better, don't you think?
Yeah.
The strange thing is about rivers: you can't step in the same river twice. The river's always changing, always growing.
Yeah.
You know this, and she gets in a kind of, once around the river bend. She's quoting a Greek philosopher called
Is she?
Heraclitus. She
Oh,
is,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
That you can't step in the same river twice.
I like that.
Everything is always changing.
Everything goes with
Yeah.
the flow.
Yeah, and this is fourth century. It's actually pre-4th century BC. So it's before you got Plato and all these other people
Yeah.
writing everything down. So it's one of the pre-Socratics, and one of the greatest statements ever. You can't step in the same river twice.
Well, thank you, Pocahontas. Well,
Thank you, Pocahontas.
not well
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
quote.
We should remember it. Pocahontas said. So she's faced. You've got to get that right moment. She's faced with. She's faced with a bend in the river. Two paths. It's a sort of Walt Whitman moment.
Diverge in a wood.
Yeah. Two paths diverge in a wood. Which I took the road
Less travelled by.
travelled by. Oh, so once around the river bend, I'm in a different key. Just around the river bend. I can't do the next because it goes up too high for me now. Da dum da dee. Just around the river bend.
Do I make a good Pocahontas?
I think you make a lovely Pocahontas. That was the film everybody wanted to do, by the way. They didn't want to do Lion King. They made it at the same time. They thought Lion King would be the bad film and Pocahontas would be the good film. How wrong they were.
Yeah. You never know. Sometimes
I
the B
can't wait
movie
to be
becomes
king.
the A movie.
Yeah, they called Lion King, I think, sort of the African Bambi or something like that.
Yeah. One day, Tim, all of this will be yours. Everything that the light touches.
What's the other one? Hakuna Matata.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Oh,
an absolute tune.
we can do that one, can't we?
We could do a whole rendition of it.
Hakuna Matata.
Right, sweet,
Okay,
sweet Nimbus. Back in the inside realm.
Bye.